Hello, 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 and welcome to another opening in the Playbook series where I am going to cover again the Germans. Because I covered the Germans previously on against a computer. However, we do all know that a computer, a AI behaves differently compared to a human player. So this time around, we found ourselves against the British, which is, a spoiler alert, is going to use a version of the GMT build, which I didn't cover yet. So let's start with obvious stuff. As I mentioned in the previous one, you want to collect all your crates, or your food, wood, and coin crates. You want to have one on wood and one on coin. And with the wood crate, you want to build a market. And as soon as you have built yourself the market, you want to get yourselves first the hunting dogs as fast as possible, followed up by a house. The start was a little bit sloppy of me because I was a little busy scouting around. So if you see a little bit idle time here and there, don't pay too much attention to it. Because I was busy trying to micro this hunt. There it goes, one on coin, one on wood, and one on food. And thankfully I got a 45 wood treasure first. So what I'm going to do is that I chop 5 wood for the hunting dogs. Since you start with 100 coin, remember. Then I'm going to go and chop 100, not chop, but mine 125 coin. Because this is enough to buy yourself 100 wood. And with that 100 wood, you are going to get a house. And once the house is built, you are going to have all your villagers on food. And as the treasure priority, as I mentioned earlier in the other first video, you want to first focus on your wood and food, wood and coin treasures to minimize the mining time and chopping time that you need for your house and your hunting dogs. Your next priority is most of the time going to be experience, but as we see, there's not really any experience treasures on this map. There's one here for 50 XP, but I didn't scout that. So instead we are going to go for wood and coin instead. We are still going to need wood and coin in the transition phase, where are we going to go for some more market upgrades and your trading post. And as soon as your first shipment comes in, you are going to send in your 2 settler wagons ASAP. And in terms of finding villagers you want to queue up before you want to age up, the magic number for Germany is going to be 17 villagers. No more, no less. And it's also very important to note that when you fight musketeers, you want to be in ranged and not in melee mode. Because if you pay close attention, they do more damage in melee than they do on ranged. Because they attack twice as fast in melee than they do on ranged. And they also have melee resist. So I need 20% more damage, more time, to kill one of those. And in addition to that, your hero also has 10% range resist. Just in case you wondered. And soon we are going to hit the H-up button. In terms of H-up options, there's pretty much only one option what to go for, which is the governor, not the governor, the quartermaster, which gives yourself 400 wood upon reaching the second H. As soon you queue up the H-up, you want to get Gangster, because Gangster does research quite fast. And once you have Gangster up, you want to have essentially only 2 vills or 3 villagers on food, which are going to be used for herding your herds under a town center, which is always important because it does minimize your walking time from your villagers. And after Gangster is researched, you want to research, not research, but first priority is building yourself a trading post. And after you have built a trading post, you want to get your placer mines going. And after that, you want to chop, mine gold, and get enough wood, 125 each, for these D-traps. I have them ready. And once you reach the second age, you want to use the 400 wood either for a barracks and 2 houses, or a stable and 2 houses. I, for this time around, went for a stable and 2 houses, because it does buy me some time to raid my opponent. But because it is a GMT build, I skipped 700 wood and sent 700 coin instead. Because GMT is usually a very fast, hard-hitting build of this. But thankfully for me, he went for a variation of his opening. Instead of 700 coin to age up, he went for 700 wood, 600 wood into 700 coin, which gave me a lot of time to react. So first ship of choice is going to be 3 setup against almost always, unless you are facing a all-in rush, and all-in rush, need to be corrected. So there's this, there's my stable, and remember that I built the stable with a settler wagon, because settler wagons build the buildings much faster than a villager is. Only 10 seconds for a house, 5 seconds even. So I got even like the build time essentially in half. It's like the equivalent of like 4 villagers on a building. And as soon as you get the first 2 units, you are most of the time trying to scout your opponent, which I didn't do yet, to see what he's doing, and to also idle and maybe kill a villager or 2, if you can get to it. I saw the wood on the floor, so I thought he already is aging. That's why I'm very cautious about where I'm going. But in hindsight, we do know that he didn't age yet. There's the Hussars, which I question myself if he was really aging or not. And as second shipment, you have 2 options. If you want to stay in H2 for a little longer, you can send 700 wood first, which is usually the standard to go for. But no, wood, I'm not ready for playing. I'm recording. However, in this situation, I went for 700 wood first and skipped my 700 wood because of the reasoning that I thought that he was already aging up to H3. And when you're facing a GMT build order like that, it's important that you focus down 2 things. The first thing is that you want to siege down the trading post if you can. And the second thing is that you want to scout where he's built his church. And either siege down his church, or you can idle your opponent so he can't gather for the technology. I am aging up with the Exile Prince, which is usually the go time, the go-to age up with Germany. However, in hindsight, I could have aged up with the Skirm instead, because there's an age up option where you get 7 Skirms upon reaching the next age, because I was not really having the next shipment ready quite yet. Because I didn't train many units in the transition phase. And because I didn't send 700 wood, I am sort of finding myself to be a little on the edge on housing. So the next logical thing for me, because I am at 3 and he isn't, I can still be greedy because the tempo is on my side. So I am going to send 1,000 wood, which is going to be used for my infrastructure, for my housing, for my military buildings, and for the veterancy of your units, which is still need to research because they are still H2. That is. Need to wear the hussars. He's doing a good job. And that's like one. And you can see the one thing I explained on the how to micro series, like the little dance of hussars that's happening here. See what he does? Not quite. But see what he does? He tries to save his low HP hussar, so it's still alive, so that it can do still more damage against my Yulans. That's what I was talking about in the How to Micro series, if you watch that. And wood has arrived, so I'm going to collect it. Build another barracks, build another stable. It's up to you if you want to build 2 barracks and 1 stable, or 2 stable and 1 barracks. I built 2 stables because my next card was 1000 coin. Because I did see that he's still in H2 and I'm in H3 already, so I can afford to be greedy and send 1000 coin. And to go for like a big timing of some sort. In the meantime, you also always want to go and raid to see if you can idle your opponent, if you can maybe kill a vill or 2 even. If you're lucky, or if your opponent doesn't pay much attention, there's the Veterans of Units coming up. You do want it because Germany usually gets a pretty large amount of units. Because remember that I get 3 units per shipment for the moment in 3. So after 3 minutes, after 3 shipments, you have yourself 9 units for free, more or less. That you have gotten yourself. Training some units, still trying to get any terms of raids going on, but as I see, his eco is very secure. The outpost is saving him this mine over here, and this town center is pretty much protecting all this stuff in the back of the state town center. So in every regard, I still try to scout, see if maybe we can find anything. And that's very intelligent of the Ironclad. Because if you place a building next to the native trading post, you cannot capture it. You can still build it, but you cannot capture it. Capturing means that you have like a little on the side and the red flag over there. That's one thing he was doing very well. And the 1000 coin has arrived, which means that I'm going to train a lot of military. I chose to go for war wagons because we do know that he's going to have falconets. He edged up with a town center wagon, which I denied. Lucky me. There is the 2 falconets coming in. And I'm very much so prepared for him to send the church card. And push out with like a bunch of musketeers and the 2 falconets. Which is why I want to build the war wagons and not as many skirms. Because skirms are very vulnerable to falconets. So I don't want to overcommit on the skirmishers. So I prioritize the war wagons over the skirmishers. Because I still have the 8 skirmish shipping coming in. So I would have like 16 skirms. That's more than enough to dwindle down any heavy infantry for my opponent. But as we see, does not really have that many musketeers in the field. There are several war wagons, and war wagons are exceptional on sniping out artillery because I have very high base attack, 42 range attack, and a 16 range too. So they are pretty beefy. And thanks to a very large pit box, the war wagons also don't really get as much splash damage from the falcons themselves. And I found myself a really good window here, because he kind of played himself here by not having like any handicap right there. Half our reinforcements are not there yet, but it's still. I focused on the falcons with my war wagons. I have to be careful because Longman really shred everything that is skirm and goon. We treat war wagons as goons here. And yeah, so pretty much to clean up. As we see that my units dwindle, I only have 5 units remaining. Which is why I train a lot of units, because we denied all the anti-cav on my opponent, and I do still have a lot of skirmishers, and I still have a decent amount of anti-cav here of 4 war wagons, which is why I focus the batch of Uhlans and send myself 9 Uhlans as well to get a nice cavalry batch and cav switch here, cav remass. Because from 5 Uhlans I have again 24 Uhlans up and available. And Duel also still very good at raiding. But obviously Eco's still very much safe. And there's a little trick with the drag box that I also explained in the micro series that you can use if you want to get your cavalry in the front without much walking time. And here I can pretty much Z-move and finish the game. Yeah, they calls it. GG has been called, and yeah. That was the opening series of the Germans, where this time around we do have a real example. And actually a good example on that you also have to adapt. You don't have to just follow one build order. You want to have one build order in mind, and then to adapt to your different situations. Because in this, for example, I didn't send the Sparrow because I needed to age to defend against his pressure. But then I adapted to send 1000 wood instead of the 700. Because my opponent was still in H2, and I could afford to send even 1000 coin because my opponent was still in H2 even after I sent my first shipment in my third age. So you don't always want to send blind unit shipments first. See what your opponent has, scout your opponent, and then adapt to on what you are lacking. If you're lacking anti-cav, send the 3 warguns. If you're lacking cavalry, send 9 Uhlans. If you're lacking skirmishers, send skirmishers instead. Man, if you can get away with it, crates are always better in terms of value than sending unit shipments. So if you can get away with sending crates, send crates. If you need to send units instead. And once you have a good mass of units, for example here, 24 Uhlans, it is worth it sending upgrade cards. Because for every 10 Uhlans, you get essentially a 1.5 Uhlan for free. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you then in the next one.